Well, it's quite a mixed bag of weather across the UK and indeed Europe in recent times, and it looks as if that is going to continue over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for taking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This is the ECMWF 850 temperature profile for the next 10 days or so, and you can see here that at the moment we've got a surge of cooler air coming in around the top of an area of high pressure centred just to the southwest of the British Isles, and that is going to provide some relatively chilly temperatures. We've seen that last night. We're going to see that tonight, especially across more southern areas where skies are clearest, winds are lightest. But as we skip through the sequence, you can see here that we do have quite the collision in air masses at the 5,000 foot level. Down across the south, plenty of warmth, residual warmth from the summer, of course, and we've got increasing, growing cold to the north. That, of course, is increasing the jet strength that has been fairly west to east in recent times. And when, of course, you collide these air masses, you get a stronger jet stream. When you start to buckle the jet, you develop areas of low pressure. And we're going to see that as we push towards the end of this work week. But as I skip through the loop, you can see what takes place. We've got fresh lobes of cold air coming in off Greenland. We've got the development of low pressure here. Though it's not overly easy to see, but you can see the development of an area of low pressure, trying to drag up a little bit of milder air ahead of that system. Notice here we've got the 15 Celsius isotherm underneath the core of that Azores high pressure system. But as we play through the sequence here, what's interesting is you notice here the level of warm air that's getting drafted up over eastern Canada. And on the back side of this developing area of low pressure, which actually has three centers, if you notice here, that is going to be the what's going to be interesting is the amount of congregating of low pressure. Some models indicate that the lead system closest to Scotland becomes the dominant player. Some other models indicate that the other two systems become the dominant player. So there's going to be quite a lot of uncertainty in terms of the details towards the end of the week. But it looks as if low pressure will deepen. It is going to increase winds, especially across northern areas, gales, even severe gales, and more in the way of rainfall will be the player as we go towards the end of the week and into the weekend. But notice the amount of warm air getting lifted north. We've got cold air coming south. And generally speaking, that upper level setup, if you will, the temperature profile is going to shift eastwards as we go forward here. And it's going to be the question is how much cold air can we get getting drawn in on the wake of these areas of low pressure. But you notice here, if we look at the overview chart, what is taking place is that we are going to see a system close to the UK, but getting shoved southwards with building areas of high pressure across the North Atlantic and up into Greenland here. As we continue to skip through the loop, we've got plenty of disturbed weather, 2 if not 3 centres of low pressure displaced well to the south, if you notice, thanks to the build-up of pressure across the North Atlantic and southern Greenland here. So it's quite an interesting, very, very kind of almost odd looking system and setup here as we go towards the end of this week, through the weekend and in the next week. And it may not be a byproduct of the weakening polar vortex that we are seeing at this moment in time. Now, if you look at the Arctic oscillation, it has went very, very positive indeed, and is expected to take an even sharper downward trajectory. It's a hard word to say, but it kind of gets forced back down towards neutral, but you notice it doesn't go negative. However, if you look at the North Atlantic oscillation, different story altogether. That looks as if it's going to have a pretty sharp dip into negative territory. And when you look at the ECMWF overview chart and surface chart, you can see what takes place. We've got this build-up of pressure across the north, forces these areas of low pressure south, and therefore we see all sorts of weather taking place in and around the UK and to the west, trapped underneath that area of high pressure here. And then as we play through the remainder of the loop, you can see this area of low pressure kind of spinning away but edging closer to the UK as we go towards the middle portion of the following week. So this is, of course, Wednesday the 19th of October. Looking at the 850 temperature chart here, you can see that there is not overly cold air associated with this. So that's quite interesting. So we don't, in a sense, drag down significantly cold air. But the moral of this story is the fact that we are seeing a return to negative North Atlantic oscillation. This, like I say, several times over now, may be a byproduct of the tropical activity that was seen about 10 days ago and the weakening of the polar vortex. The question is what takes place later down the road. Now, there is indications that the polar vortex weakens once again after it kind of has a brief recovery, and therefore we may see the return of colder conditions possible as we push towards the month of November here. So could we be seeing some sort of hint at an early winter across the western portion of Europe here? All speculative. Of course, you look at individual model runs at your peril, and I may be completely barking up the wrong tree when all is said and done, but it's certainly interesting nonetheless. But precipitation-wise, what a turnaround we've seen. First week of October, parts of Western Scotland has seen nearly a month's worth of rainfall. And if you look at the CFSV2 for the upcoming 7 days, we've got a very wet look across most of the British Isles, particularly so Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, perhaps Northwest England and North Wales as well. We do have a back and forth setup though, because the following week you notice here that we go drier than normal. Then the following week after that, wetter than normal, especially across the north of the UK. Back to drier, then back to wetter. So we've got this very back and forth setup indeed. So like I say, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the negative North Atlantic oscillation that is returning once again. Remember, September was a predominantly negative North Atlantic oscillation month, which is somewhat unusual for the month of September. That is typically one of the most positive months of the year for the North Atlantic oscillation, and I'm quite intrigued to see what takes place. I'm also intrigued to see how wet this October actually truly becomes, because again, listening to Joe Bastardi over 10-15 years, he had made mention of the fact that wet mid and late autumns can sometimes lead to colder winters, especially where the wettest conditions tend to focus on. That can be sometimes where your winter trough wants to set up. At this moment in time, and I said this in yesterday's video, at this moment in time I'm going for a slightly warmer than normal winter. A lot of the long range models, again, take it with a pinch of salt, but when you see the general overall consensus being the same, you would tend to sway towards a warmer winter overall. But patterns eventually do have to change, and after 9 months of warmer than normal, who knows, we may see a big flip around taking place during the month of November, December, and on into the winter season here. The potential is very much there for some early season winter cold, I think, late November, possibly into the month of December as well. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.